Okay. La, 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 la.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Disney with the Ducks. Tonight, you've got me, Jodie B, with my really good friend, Jared. How are you, Jared?
Outstanding. Thank you so much for having me, Jody.
Thanks for coming back to the show. This is your second or third time on.
I believe it's my third, and it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I enjoy spending time with you. As you know, you and Staci are some of my favorite people in the universe. So I'm excited that we get to chat because you just got back from a pretty spectacular adventure way far west. And we're not talking Disneyland, people. We're not talking Disneyland. And so I'm excited to talk about it. But before we do that, just want to remind everybody, if you like what you're hearing, and of course you will, because Jared's on the show tonight, I invite you to go out to a favorite podcatcher of choice. Please give us a 5-star review because Jeff and Jean and Lonnie and the rest of the crew aren't on. So you should give it 5 stars because it's just me. Go onto our Facebook page and you can interact with us there. Of course, if you have questions about any of this and some of the things that we're going to be talking about, I'm sure Jared would be happy to answer any of them. Right, my friend?
Absolutely. And a lovely, lovely job on taking care of the housekeeping.
Awesome. All right. So let's move on to the show, the fun stuff. So, Jared, why don't you tell everybody you and Staci just got back from what?
We just got back from our very first Disney Alaskan cruise. We started off in the Great White North of Vancouver and got on our spent a couple of days up there, got on our ship on Monday the 12th for a 7-night Wonder Alaskan cruise, and it was wonderful, if I must say.
Awesome. So this is May 12th of 2025. So let's see. So you went 9 months after we did our cruise. So I'm going to be very curious to hear all the differences between your experience and our experience because you were on the beginning part of the sailing. So when were you the first sailing to
We were the
Alaska?
very first sailing of the Disney Alaska season for 2025.
Well,
Yes.
that's so cool. So everything was fresh.
It was fresh. The crew was super excited to be out of the hot climate of. I think they had just come off of doing the Baja coast out of San Diego, and then up to Alaska. So they were very excited to be out of the hot and into the new scenery that was Alaska, and it was gorgeous.
You can't even explain it. It doesn't words just don't come to you to explain how amazing it is. So, okay. So, your sailing started on Monday, which most Alaska cruises leave on a Monday. So, how did you get to Vancouver and how long were you there?
Yep. So we flew to Vancouver from St. Louis. It's probably the best mode of transportation on how to get there. So out of St. Louis to Vancouver on Saturday. So we arrived 2 days before our cruise and spent, I'd say, a solid day and a half in Vancouver and got to kick around that town. Very cool city. We had a lot of fun there. A lot of food consumed and a lot of scenery taken in.
Yeah, it's a really amazing city, easy to navigate. People are very friendly. How was your weather while you were there?
Weather was really good. I'd say at worst it was a little bit rainy, but the rain did not, stick around very long at all. We had a couple of clouds in the sky, but it was for the most part it was great weather. We had afternoons of sun and clear skies, great weather, great temperatures rather. All around it was the weather was fantastic. Cannot complain at all about the weather, and that's a theme that holds true for the entirety of the trip. We were so lucky with the weather on this, especially seeing some of the weather that other people have experienced on the cruise and in Vancouver. Just cannot overstate how lucky we were with our weather.
Yeah, we were too. So yeah, Disney Cruise Line might just love us, I think. That's it.
I'm gonna go with that. Yes.
I mean, they were like, "Oh, we want to make sure that you have all." Hi, Stacy. Here's my friend. She just popped for our most of the people listen to this podcast. So Stacy just popped in and waved. So that made me happy. Okay, so what was a highlight of Vancouver? So you said you did a lot of eating, a lot of sightseeing. What was something that you
Oh,
would?
the highlight was the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. That was the highlight for me. We had I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting out of that. Um, but I can tell you that we spent probably 3.5 hours there, and just the attractions that they have, the suspension bridge, they have tree walk bridges, um they have a suspension bridge, or it's a cable suspension bridge rather, that hangs off the side of the face of a cliff basically. And you just kind of get to explore the wilderness among the trees, over a deep ravine down into a river. It I that one still blows me away to this day.
That's great. We loved it there too. And how did you find the transportation getting out there?
There's a story with that one.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so we stayed at the Pan Pacific Hotel, which is right on the port, right in the harbor of Vancouver. And there's a free shuttle that picks you up right in front of the hotel to take you over to the Capilano Suspension Park Bridge. Say that 5 times real fast. And so the schedule runs in the morning. They take a break for lunch and then picks back up in the early afternoon. Well, our plan was to just kind of take it easy around the hotel. So we did this on Sunday, so the day after we arrived, um, and catch the one of the last shuttles over to the park. Well, we were waiting around for that last shuttle, the final shuttle, and somebody out front of the hotel asked us, "Are you waiting for the Capilano shuttle?" Yes, yes, we are. Well, on days where it's particularly busy in front of the hotel, it picks you up the next block over. Would have been nice to know a little bit beforehand. We missed that last shuttle. Well, it was the last shuttle before they took a break for lunch. Let's put it that way. It's the last shuttle before they took a break for lunch. So a little bit of a change in plans. We were going to go to the park, have lunch there, and explore, and then come back and do Gastown. Well, we just flipped that one. Ended up going to Gastown first, and spent the early afternoon there. Saw the steam clock, which I must say a little underwhelming. Not really a whole lot to write home about, but it is a historic neighborhood. It's a really cool neighborhood with a lot of shops, a lot of restaurants, and while you're there, you might as well check out the steam clock. And then while we were there at Gastown, we had found a really cool place for lunch. Stacy found this called the Black Frog, which is it's a hockey pub, which it's a lot like a British soccer pub. It's just hockey instead.
Oh,
So that's where we spent the afternoon before going to Capilano Park. Then we went back and hopped on the shuttle once it started up again and went over to Capilano Park, and had just a fantastic day. Loved it.
yeah,
Loved it.
it's really neat up there, right? And it's not too expensive and not too far, and great way to. And you had two. Obviously, it was just you and Stacy, so two adults enjoyed it, and we had our family there and enjoyed it. So I think it's something that anybody could do.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and as long as you're not afraid of heights.
Yeah, that would be a problem. Okay, any other highlights from Vancouver that you want to
Yeah,
share?
Vancouver, Granville Island. We went there on our first day. Didn't really know what to expect. I kind of knew what it was, but going into it, wasn't quite sure. I knew it was like a food market, with a bunch of produce and just grocery, food market type items, plus restaurants, a lot of art, um, and shopping at Granville as well. We ended up getting dinner at it's called the Vancouver. Where do I have it here? The Vancouver Fish Company. That's on Granville Island. So we had kind of like a late lunch, early supper on Saturday when we got there. That was another good place that we went. Couple of places where we stopped to eat, which were in the marina right next to the harbor, was Lift Bar and Grill, and we saw Carderos. That's what it was. Had dinner there both nights. Actually, the first night was Lyft, and we just kind of went for apps since we had that late lunch, early dinner. But both places were great. Lyft was one that we saw before we left that we wanted to check out, and while we were walking from the hotel to Lyft, we saw Carderos, which advertised live music every night. So we decided that might be a cool place to check out the next night, and we did, and both were winners.
That's awesome. There's so much to do down there and so much to see. I think, but it sounds like you really found two winners, which is good because sometimes in those touristy areas, you could really not do so well. So it's
Yeah, I keep referring to Vancouver to people I come up to, or it's a very approachable city.
Mhm.
It's very easy to walk and navigate. It's very clean. There's a lot of stuff to do for locals and for tourists as well. Uh,
Yeah,
Definitely would go back in a heartbeat.
yeah, we would too. We really liked it there.
Mhm.
All right. So now Monday, the big day. Now this is your how many? This was number what Disney
This was
sailing?
number 6.
Okay.
So our previous cruise last year was our Gold Maker. Now this one was our first time being, Gold Castaway Key, our Castaway Club member status.
Up to the next level. That's where we are.
Uh-huh.
So we're
Uh-huh.
gold.
Yes,
So
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's a
fellow
good place
gold.
to be.
It is. It is. Feels nice.
Mhm.
All right. So what time did you make it to the ship that day?
So we had a port arrival time of 12:15. So we were able to, since we were staying in the Pan Pacific, we were able to watch the ship come in. We had a harbor view room, so we were able to watch the ship come underneath the bridge and pull into the harbor, and right next to our window. I mean, almost right there. That
Yeah,
was
there's
that
our
was
room. I can see our room on the ship right from our room in our hotel.
That I will tell you was a bit of a splurge, but not so much as you would think, right? But we enjoyed the Pan Pacific immensely because having that harbor view, while we were there the 2 days, we spent so much time looking out that window because they have the seaplanes, the tourist planes taking off and landing all day long, and it's just so cool to look out your window into the water and see airplanes taking off and landing. But back to the Disney Wonder. We had a port arrival time of 12:15. We were packing up our stuff to have the porter just take it right down to the ship for us, which is another perk of staying at Pan Pacific. I swear this isn't a commercial for Pan Pacific. We just really had a great experience there. Um, we got to the ship a little bit early, or we got to the port a little bit early, and they asked us when our port arrival time was. We were about 45 minutes early, and they said, yeah, go on in. It was the smoothest embarkation day of boarding the ship that I've ever had. We were on the ship before 12:15, before our
Wow,
port arrival time.
that's
It was
awesome.
fantastic. It was
And do you think
fantastic.
your ship was sold out? Do you think it was
No,
okay?
I do not think so at all. And I say that because at dinner we were a couple. There were two of us, and we were at a table for four. But it was just the two of us, and there were a lot of empty seats around the dining rooms.
Yeah, I would think, because that is early May, most colleges would be finished by then, but a lot of high schools, middle schools, elementaries
Hmm.
would not be finished. So I would think that were there a lot of kids on your sailing, or was it mainly adults?
It was. I'm trying to think. I don't think there were that many kids. There obviously were kids, but I don't think there were that many. And a lot of them, I believe, were from overseas.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
All right, so have you been on one of the classic ships before?
Oh, I this is my favorite story, and I never get tired of telling this story. So this was our 25th wedding anniversary cruise.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. On the Disney Wonder, 25 years ago for our honeymoon, we cruised on the Disney Wonder. So it's not the first time that we've been on a classic ship. The Disney Wonder was our first ship, and then a year later, for our 1 year anniversary, we went on the Magic. So now 25 years later, we're back on the Wonder.
I actually knew that story, knew that was your anniversary, but I liked hearing it too. So
Oh no,
that's why
thank you for indulging me.
well,
Like
I
I
wanted
said,
to hear it because I think it's so incredibly cool that that's 25 years ago. That's where you went for your honeymoon, and then 25 years later, you had not been on that ship. You've been on Disney ship. Well, not for a while, but you'd been on a Disney ship or two, but not that one. And I just think it's amazing that you were able to have this uh, very important, epic, big milestone anniversary back on the same ship that you did all those years ago.
Hmm. Yes. No, any excuse to tell that story. It, I find that to be really, I don't know. I just get a kick out of that. And we sailed the Wonder in its inaugural year, and then 25 years later, for our 25th winning anniversary, we were able to sail her again.
And how did you feel she's held up over those 25 years? I mean,
Oh, fantastic.
I've been some changes in 25 years, but
Fantastic. You'd know, I would not have guessed, right, that she was a 25-year-old ship. The upkeep on those is incredible. She's been through several remodels and refurbishments as well. So new things added throughout her life.
yeah, I think they do a fantastic job with the classic ships, keeping them up to date and spick and span. I'm always impressed with them. So, all right. So first day back on the ship, 25 years later, what did you do right when you got on board?
First things first, you have to go to Cabanas.
Mhm.
You have to, get all of the crab legs that you can off of that buffet. They're there. But then after that, I don't know. We just kind of explored. We were so shocked that we were able to get on as early as we did. We checked out the French Quarter Lounge, which 25 years ago was the Promenade Lounge, which and not nearly as coolly themed as it is now. Behind the bar, we noticed this bartender named Gabo. Gabo was waiting on us at the French Quarter Lounge, and I could have sworn that he looked familiar to me. So I asked him if how long he had been on, and if he'd been on any other ships. Come to find out, he opened the Wish a couple of years prior to that, and kind of asking him what around time frames and where he was stationed, where he was working, and he was working up in the Rose, which is the lounge for Palo and for Enchante. I know we had seen him before. Stacy pulls up her phone. She's looking through pictures. Well, we don't have a picture of Gabo. We don't have a picture of him at all. And I've come across this one picture, and it's of a cocktail, and there's a person's shoulder. That's all you can see is his shoulder and his name tag. Zoomed in on that, it's Gabo.
No way.
So yeah, it was the same exact guy. I'm like, I knew you looked familiar. So we had met him a couple of years prior to that on the Wish.
That's
Yep.
craziness.
Yep. That's so fun. So
Wait,
after
that's not the Wish sailing that we did with you, right?
no, that
That was
was
the one that
a
you
couple
went
months prior to that. We went in May of 23, and then we went back again
with
for
Emily and all?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
fun.
Yes.
Okay. That is such a cool story though. I love
Yep.
it.
So after French Quarter, that was time for we the rooms were available. We went to our room, started unpacking. It's time for muster drill, and then we had to take care of the requirements for boarding the ship, and then it was showtime and dinner time. Actually I take that back. There was no show on the first night. It was explore time and dinner time. We had Tiana's that first night.
So what about sail away on the Wonder? Did you guys go outside?
I did, but that thanks. That reminds me. So, Stacy wanted to be first or close to first in line for the merch. So she waited for the stores to open, and I went up on deck. I didn't watch the sail away party, but I did watch us sail out of the harbor and under the bridge.
Isn't
Um,
that crazy under the
it,
bridge?
it was so cool. It was such a cool sight to see. Sadly, Stacy missed it because she was waiting for the stores to open. But we did on that final day wake up a little extra early so she could go out on our veranda and go under it from there.
I love it. Okay. So you're in the French Quarter, having a great time. You have dinner. You went to the sail away party, got to go underneath the bridge. Stacy merch dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Smart woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's got her priorities. And then dinner that night was at Tiana's. How did you find dinner that night?
Dinner was very good. All of the nights we were there. I can't recall anything that stands out from each individual meal, because it's just such a whirlwind that
Mhm.
everything kind of blends together over the course. But I mean, it's Disney dining on a cruise ship. They're all very good.
And did you have early dining or late dining?
We had the late dining,
Okay.
8:15.
So how was that? Because you were already behind, you were a couple of hours. Well, that's what, two, well, was it 3 hours behind for you guys?
It's 2 for us, that first 2 nights, and then the 3rd night, it gets to be 3 hours. So, by the time we're getting our food, it's about 9 p.m. local time, which for us back home is midnight.
Yeah.
So, uh, I mean, it is what it is. We're on vacation. We got there a couple days early to try to, get acclimated to the time shift. It was fine. It was fine.
Good. Good. And how did you like your serving team?
Great, fantastic, excellent, if you will.
Good. That they're always fantastic.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Okay, so second day, you're on the ship. It's a sea day, or yeah, it's a sea
It
day.
is. Day 2 is, a sea day, and day 2 was our the actual day of our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh, so what? You had to do something amazing this day. What did you
We
do?
did. We got a couple's massage at, Senses Spa, first thing in
How
the
was that?
morning, bright and early. Amazing. I think this is my splurge item for myself, is every time I go on a cruise, I have to get a massage, and, while I'm at it, might as well, get the couple's massage, um, and, have a massage together. This was by far the best massage I think I've ever had in my life. Now, I don't get massages very often. This one was the best.
That's great.
It
I
was
have never had a spa treatment in any of the ships.
it's pretty much the only place I go to get spa treatments. I
Quite bougie there, aren't you?
know, right? So high maintenance.
You are. You are. Well, that's okay. So that was your treat to each other for your 25th wedding anniversary. That's awesome. That I think that's appropriate. That's nice, spending time together, yet relaxing, enjoying, the space and the spa. So what did you do after that?
Quickly followed up by brunch at Palo.
This is the most amazing anniversary ever.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
okay,
I
did you
mean, how thoughtful is this guy, huh?
yeah, so you put the stretchy pants on.
We did. We did. Had an amazing meal with an amazing server, Louise from UK. Um, all of the serving staff in Palo is incredible. We showed up a little bit early. Palo on the Wonder and the Magic. They don't have a separate dedicated lounge. But they do have a bar with 5 or 6 spots where you can go up and grab a drink. So we did that. We showed up a little bit early, sat at the bar and grabbed a pre-brunch cocktail, and yeah, just enjoyed a wonderful anniversary brunch at Palo.
Yeah. That you're winning. I mean, I hope every husband is listening to this and thinking of, ways for epic anniversaries because this is pretty fantastic. You're screwed next year, Jared.
I think I'm good for another 25 years.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's the way I put it.
Okay.
After that, it was time for a nap. So what Stacy did before we left is she ordered these packable down quilts or blankets that you can actually kind of like wear as a cape. Well, we went up to deck 4 underneath one of the lifeboats. It's one of her favorite things to do is grab one of those deck chairs and just sit out, watch the sea go by, and if you take a nap, you take a nap. It's a great place to sleep. So we did that. Then we went into Cadillac Lounge for cocktail tasting seminar with our new friend Wyan, who is the head bartender from Cadillac. Wyan is from Indonesia, so him and his serving team, Gede, treated us great the entire time we were there. Cadillac was kind of our home away from our cabin on the ship. We ended pretty much every evening in the Cadillac Lounge, just having a great time with great serving staff, and great cruise mates as well. A handful of friends at that lounge.
That's always the best. But it's always nice when you go to a lounge and you get to know the bartenders there because
Hmm.
It helps. It helps when
It
they know
does.
you know them.
And I don't know if this is a Disney difference or if it's, cruising in general. I've only cruised on Disney Cruise Line, so it's the only experience that I've had. But the the bartenders at the lounge and the crew just in general, they genuinely want to know, what you're doing that day, how good of a time you're having, what you are doing when you're off the ship. Just that personal interest in you goes so far.
Yeah, yeah, and I find them to be so very personable, and then, they may even give a recommendation like, "Oh, have you tried this place? If you're going to this port, stop in there." Like, you may not hear a lot about it, but it's really great. So, I absolutely agree with you that and I think being on the Wonder too, because it's a smaller ship, there's not as many passengers, and they really have an opportunity then to get to know the people on the ship that week. So, you
Mhm.
have an opportunity to get to know them, which is
Yeah,
great.
I mentioned, G'day, who was, he was the one of the servers in, Cadillac Lounge, and he's from Indonesia. His name's unusual by American standards, so I always want to know, how you pronounce your name. I asked him, "How do you pronounce your name?" And he says, "Oh, it's G'day." And like, and they had just come from Australia a few months before that, so kind of made a little Australian joke. And he said, "Absolutely, that's exactly how it was. People would walk in and say, 'Hey, G'day,' and he'd turn around and say, 'What?'" Um, but going on, he was explaining about how common of a name G'day is in Indonesia, and in fact, just in the serving team, in the beverage team alone, there were 5 G'days.
Wow.
And yeah, we met 3 of 5 G'days
That's
on
picture
our
your
on our
scavenger
cruise.
hunt, like, how
Yeah,
many of the same name can you find?
that's right. So the G'day that we met first, his name tag said I G'day, which he explained is I is the masculine form of G'day of his name. So I said, well, that also makes you first G'day. And he goes, yes, it does. And then we were over at Crown and Fin pub next door to Cadillac Lounge, and there was another G'day. So he was other G'day. And then at the end of the cruise, they brought in a third G'day, just to show him, hey, here's all the G'days. So we had first G'day, other G'day, and third G'day.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah.
That's just th those are the things though, like, that you couldn't script if you wanted to, right?
Oh
It just
no.
happens, and that's
Yeah.
the fun part about it.
I didn't set out to go on this cruise to meet 3 G'days.
Or 3 John Smiths,
That's right.
That's super fun. So, okay, so which beverage did you do that day?
It was the cocktail tasting.
And how did you find that one?
It was really good. I mean, this is one we've done on the Wish, on the Fantasy, and now on the Wonder. They're all very similar to each other. Each head bartender that runs the seminar kind of gets to curate the class to their own personality. But for the most part, they kind of follow a formula with the drinks themselves. This one was, I mean, they're all very solid, but I would have to say the one that we had on the Wish was probably the best.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, I mean, they're all interesting though. And for
Absolutely.
me, for someone who doesn't know a lot about cocktails, it's fun to try different things that I may not try to, and then I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. Now I'm going to order it.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
that's great. Okay, so is this the Dawes Glacier Day?
This was still day at sea.
Day at sea. Okay,
Yep.
so night two dinner. Where did you go?
Triton's.
Triton's. And how
Yeah,
was it?
Triton's is probably my favorite of the three on that ship of the rotational dining. And it was also Golden Mickey's night. So that was the first time we
Um,
had ever seen Golden Mickey's.
what?
Hmm.
Oh
First
my
time.
gosh! What did you
It
think
was
of it?
amazing. Loved it.
I love the Golden Mickeys. I
Yeah.
think it's super fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
we still have
Ensign Benson had me rolling.
We still have little confetti from the Golden Mickeys in my camera bag from our very first cruise.
Tell me it's Mickey shaped.
It is Mickey shaped.
Awesome.
Yes, of course it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Lindsay
great.
collected it. Yeah, and so my camera bag from 2018.
Yeah.
Holding on to it. Mhm.
Nice.
Super cute.
Awesome.
Okay, so any other highlights from that day? I mean, that's a pretty amazing day.
I mean, highlights. We ended the night in Cadillac Lounge. That's always a highlight.
As you should. Oh, I forgot to ask. what was your stateroom like? Did you have, because this is always the big debate with Alaska. Some people say splurge, get the money and get a veranda. Some people say don't splurge because you could just go out to the public spaces and not have a veranda. So what did you two choose to do?
Veranda was non-negotiable. There was no chance we were not going to get a veranda, and it was absolutely worth it because the amount of time we had that door open the week we were on that ship is far exceeds the amount of times we've been outside on the veranda on any of our previous cruises combined.
Did you bring binoculars with you?
We did,
Yeah, did you use them?
of course.
We were constantly out there like, "Oh, look, wait, did you see that? What's that?" And or trying to determine if we were actually seeing something or was it, is that something? Is that not something? Because you really are not that far from land. So you're seeing all sorts of cool things, in the water, in the land, all sorts of places. Now, from what I understand, May tends to be a better season for whales. So did you see a lot of whales when you were there?
We didn't see a lot of whales. We did see some whales, and this was on Glacier Day, which was the next day that's coming up. While we were up on deck waiting for Minnie and Mickey for the photo opportunities, got a lot of time to look over the side of the ship. So we did see some whales. We saw ice, mostly just like backs and like blowholes.
Yeah.
But no whales like breaching the surface or anything like that. People were saying they were seeing humpbacks and orcas. I know we saw humpbacks. Just coming up and blowing their spouts and up for a breath. Um, where we did use the binoculars, where they came in handy, was again on Glacier Day. Somebody pointed out that they saw mountain goats on the side of the cliff wall of the side of the fjord, and they were able to get the binoculars and get a close up look of 5 goats just hanging out on the side of a mountain.
Aren't they crazy?
It's
Don't you?
incredible,
It's like, do you have super glue attached to your hooves? Like, how are they not falling off the mountain? I do not understand.
and they're just chilling, easy as can be.
Yeah, like, well, living my life.
Hmm.
It's nuts. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about day three because this, if you have not seen Jared's photos, which Jared, hopefully you'll share a couple of them with me so I could share with group. But
Of course.
this is the most epic photo op ever, period. Hard stop. Like, no one's going to beat this. So, why don't you talk? First of all, the big important question. Day three should have been Mickey Churro waffles. Were they Mickey Churro waffles on day
It
three?
was. Yes, it was. I was actually looking for them the day before because I had heard that they were on sea days, and went down there on sea day and no Mickey waffles to be found. I was quite upset until Glacier Day, and we went up there and lo and behold, churro waffles. And again, you're gonna have to pick your jaw up off the floor. First time ever having churro waffles.
What did
So
you
good.
think?
They're
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a huge like sweet on sweet on sweet person, but something about those, I don't know. Take a little piece of bacon and put it with it. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. And
Now you're
the
giving me
fact that
something
they
to go
only
back for.
offer them on certain days makes you pine for them even more. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. So this day three, Mickey Churro waffles. And now you are dressed for the occasion or not?
So I feel that you've oversold it maybe
No,
just a
I
little
haven't.
bit,
I have
but
not.
we did dress up as Mickey and Minnie in their Alaska cruise outfits. So Fisherman Mickey and Minnie Mouse in her
Eskimo fur?
Eskimo furs. Yeah, that's I don't indigenous wear.
Yeah.
So I was Mickey, Stacy was Minnie, and we, we waited in those lines and got our pictures taken. I
You
mean,
were,
you can see the pictures. I will share.
yeah, but I mean, we wore buffalo plaid and were cute enough. You guys were complete matches to their outfits. So I saw Mickey's interaction with you, his look of surprise and shock, and I kind of saw the one from Minnie, but how did that go down? Like were people walking by pointing at you guys like, "Oh my gosh, they're dressed just like them?" Or how did this all go down?
Stacy got more attention than I did. I mean, obviously, she's a lot cuter than me. Um, but yeah, I'm dressed like Mickey. You go for the interaction. What do you say to the guy? He's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. We're wearing the same outfit," and he just got a kick out of that. So yeah, it all went from there, and we posed for the pictures, got the t-shirts, all that stuff. So it was, it's something that we have a good time with. We're sticklers for details, so matching the plaid for the plaid is kind of important. And Stacy spent a lot of time building out her indigenous coat dress, if you will. So it's something we find fun.
Well, I absolutely love it. I had a sneak preview of them marathon weekend, or was that wine and dine?
That was marathon weekend.
Marathon
We
weekend.
wore that
We actually
for
needed them because it was cold marathon weekend.
yes, it was. That was our 10K day.
Yeah. But they're phenomenal, and I just think super creative, and what a great way to meet the characters. Now, how early did you get up there to get in line? Because I was a little psychotic and got up there super early because I did not want to miss this. Was really important to me for that day. So what time did you get up there?
Well, first of all, thank you for your flattery. Um, secondly, so Mickey starts meeting at 9, and we were in line, I think, by 8:15. And so it's 45 minutes before he starts meeting people. Once he started meeting people, we probably waited another 45 minutes. So we waited an hour and a half ish for Mickey. And as soon as we got done with Mickey, we went over and started meeting Minnie, who I think she started seeing at 10 a.m., an hour after Mickey. And we waited another hour and a half for her. The good thing about getting it done that way, and all we did see was Mickey and Minnie that day. We didn't visit with Donald or Goofy or Daisy. But the good thing about doing it that way is you knock it out early in the day, and you have the whole rest of the day to enjoy as you see fit. And with the good weather that we had, being up on deck 10 and the scenery really helps the time pass by.
Yeah, your weather was fantastic. It was chilly for us, but we did have sunshine too, but you guys look like you had some fabulous weather. So, that took the most part of your morning,
Mhm.
doing the pictures with the characters. Then what did you do? Because
So
this was Dawes Glacier Day, right? You went to Dawes
it
Glacier?
It was Glacier Days, so it's about lunchtime at this point, and we're still heading up the fjord. Not quite to the glacier yet. Getting to be around lunch, and we went and we noticed that Crown and Finn was having movie quote trivia. Stacy tells me that I was born to win this trivia, so we go and ordered some pub grub from Crown and Finn, played some trivia, and I won.
Woohoo!
So it was not easy either. I got a 32 out of 40 and won. And usually on Disney Cruise Line trivia, you need to get a perfect to even tie. So it was not easy, but
I
pulled
was
out the
getting a
winner.
2 out of 40 because I don't watch movies and I don't know movie trivia, so I would have not have even attended, or maybe I would have just attended and clapped for you and been like, "Yes, this is my friend Jared. He knows all
No,
the
she just sat back and was playing on her phone the whole entire time. She contributed nothing.
That's awesome. So you've got that big plastic shiny medal now, right?
Sadly, no. We got luggage tags.
Oh,
I got a set of 4 Disney Cruise Line luggage tags.
to add to your collection of luggage tags?
They'll go in the suitcase. They'll be
Okay,
fine.
it's fun. Okay, well,
Yeah, it's fun.
that's great.
And then
Okay.
we did the Dawes Glacier viewing. So about that time, we were getting close to the glacier again with the spectacular weather that we had, and just I guess how calm the water was in the fjords. We were able to get super close. Super close to a glacier was probably a mile, but if you take into consideration the excursions on the smaller boats that take you up close to the face of the glacier, they only get to be they only get as close rather as about a quarter of a mile. So we were again extremely lucky to get as close as we were and had some amazing pictures from that as well.
So you chose not to do that excursion.
Correct. I chose to save my $350 per person to not do that. Yes.
Yeah, we did the same. We chose not to do the excursion, and I don't regret that. I think we had amazing photos. We saw lots from our veranda. We went up to deck 10 too, just to see, check it out from not just our side of the, but they do make a loop with the ship, so you kind of get to see everything. So
Mhm.
I felt very content not going on the little boat out there. I mean, I think it's a neat experience for those who do it, but it was for us, it was multiplying that by four, and that was just not going to happen.
Right. And what I've heard is people that do that excursion, do that experience, they say absolutely do not regret doing it. Don't need to do it again.
Yeah.
So I was perfectly happy with the way we did it because we did splurge a couple days later in Juneau and did a big excursion there.
All right. So day 3. Any other highlights from Dawes Glacier Day?
Just rounding out the day, martini tasting,
Fun.
animator's palette for dinner, and back at the Cadillac Lounge to end the evening.
That's a perfect day. Perfection. So what who was the martini tasting at Cadillac
It was
Route?
at Cadillac, so it was with our good buddy Wyan.
Awesome. Love it.
Yep.
I, that is a great day. Starting off with churro waffles and ending it at Cadillac Lounge. I mean, what else could you ask for?
I wish I
Throw
was
a
doing
glacier in
that right
between, some
now.
character photos. I mean, yeah, pretty awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we're on day 4. Was this the first port day?
It was. It was our first port of call at Skagway.
Skagway. And what did you
Loved
choose to do
Skagway.
Skagway?
So Skagway, we got so Skagway's a long day. You get there early and you leave relatively late. I think 6:45 was all aboard time. Um, so we got off early and just walked through town. There's uh, a very touristy downtown district in Skagway. We walked through that and beyond that and kind of headed back out of town. We kept seeing signs for a gold rush cemetery, and we're trying to find that.
I had notes on this. This
Yeah,
is
we
what we
missed
were
it.
supposed to see. So,
We
and Jared, I have to apologize. One of my dear friends was there in Skagway working at a shop when you guys were there, and I didn't put the 2 and 2 together
Oh
because
no.
I I didn't realize she was already back in Alaska because they live in a camper and they move throughout the country throughout the year, and I didn't realize they were already back in Alaska at the time, or else I completely would have put you 2 in touch because she would have given you like all the little secret places to go because this is their second or third season in Alaska and in Skagway in particular. So
Hmm.
I'm sorry that I didn't
Oh, that's
do that, but I
forget about it.
I just
We'll just
didn't.
go back again someday,
I know, seriously.
right?
Okay, so Skagway's a pretty cute little town. I mean, of course, there's some touristy stuff. There's some of those things like the diamond jewelry stores. I'm like, really? Like,
Right. I
but
mean, yeah, it's just like the Caribbean, but up in Alaska.
yeah.
You have to have your jewelry store. But we took a nice walk. It was about a 3 mile walk. We didn't quite make it to the Gold Rush Cemetery because we had to hightail it back to the ship for an excursion that we did, which we did the White Pass and Yukon Route Railway, the train ride up up the pass and back. And this was another sleeper, in my opinion. Um, we booked this because there's really not a whole lot to do in Skagway, and this is one of the big things that there is to do. And by big things, I think it was maybe $9,530 a person. So not a big not a big expense by any means, as far as excursions go. But I was really blown away about at how much I enjoyed that train ride up the pass and back down again. You get on this old antique train, and they're old, wooden train cars with, you have an opening on each end that, if you want to, you can go out and stand outside as the train goes up the mountain and just take in the scenery, take in the nature. And I did that for about half of the entire 2 hour, 2.5 hour, train ride up and down.
That's awesome.
Really enjoyed it.
That's great. We chose not to do that. We thought the teenagers might be a little bored. I was afraid that they were going to be staring at their phones the whole time, and I'm like, I'm not going to spend that money for them to be staring at their phones. So, but I'm glad you had a good experience with it. I was kind of thinking like we should have done it, but I don't know. It's hard. There's so many
Again,
choices.
next time.
it's just so hard to decide what to do.
Next time, yeah.
Yeah.
And pro tip for those traveling without children, there is an excursion option to do that train ride for adults only. So they'll have 2, train cars that, nobody under 18. So that's what we did, and because of the same thing, it's not the same thing, but if you're, on a 2 to 2.5 hour train ride with children, there's only so much scenery that they can see before they get bored and cranky.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart choice. Now, did you book that directly through Disney or did you book that on your own?
This one we booked directly through Disney, so we were able to meet on the ship. When you do that, they the rail cars that you board as part of the Disney excursion, they back those right directly up to the ship. So
Oh, wow.
you get off the ship, you walk maybe 100 feet, and the rail cars are there,
Wow.
moored right there at the base of the ship.
I did not know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was great.
That's pretty
I
awesome.
mean, it as opposed to, walking 300 feet further into town to get on the rail cars.
Yeah. Oh, that's still special. Disney magic touch.
Mhm, of course.
I love it. All right. So, all in all, Skagway, 2 thumbs up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. After the rail car, we still had a lot of day left. So we went to the Skagway Brewing Company for lunch-ish. It was a little late for lunch, but, ordered fresh salmon dip. Oh my gosh. And I'm not a person that goes crazy over smoked salmon dip. Stacy is. This was incredible. And they gave you so much of it. And we also had, fried fish, halibut fish and chips, great beers, and, great old fashions.
Yeah.
So,
We
Skagway Brewing
enjoyed it.
Company, make it a stop.
Yeah, we enjoyed our time there too. We weren't there
Mhm.
very long, but we did enjoy it.
Yep. And then I think on the way back, we went to the Klondike Doughboy for the Alaska fry bread.
Yeah, how do you explain that?
It's like a flat churro.
Yeah, I said it's kinda like a carnival fair type of food,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
carnival food. I mean, here in Midwest, that we call them elephant ears.
yeah, yep,
So it's
that's what
yeah,
they
it's
call them.
basically it's a flat, you know, dough, pounded out dough, deep fried, covered in sugar and cinnamon. How can you go wrong?
I know, there's nothing that could be possibly wrong with that.
Yep.
Well, good, sounds like it was a great day in Skagway.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so you go back to the ship, you have late dining, so you made it back in plenty of time for dinner, and
Mhm.
you were back where? Because this is now your first repeat night.
This is Animator's Palette.
Animator's Palette again,
Yep.
okay. I actually prefer the classic ship's Animator's Palette. I like how the walls change from the old art to the new art. I really like that. Not that
Mhm.
I don't like the fantasy and the, dream, but I really like the classics,
Yeah.
how that happened, so I enjoyed
Stacy
it.
has Stacy has said the same thing. She likes the black and white motif better than the art studio motif.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Team Stacy.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so now what day are we on? 5?
Sure.
Okay, so after Skagway, you went to
Juno.
Juneau. Okay.
Mhm.
Juneau is the biggest port. It has the largest population, most people. So there's a lot of choices of activities that you could possibly do at Juneau. So what did you guys choose to do?
Well, it rained the morning we arrived,
Oh
and
no.
our plan was so this is Juneau, you get in extremely early. I think it's before 7 a.m. So we had wanted to go out and explore the town a little bit. We didn't get to do that because of the rain. And then by this time, it's time for our excursion. And this was our big splurge excursion. We did the helicopter to a glacier to a dog sled camp, rode dog sleds for an hour and a half almost, got back on a helicopter, takes us to an ice field on a glacier, and then helicopter back to town. So in this day, in this single excursion, the number of firsts that I've ever had in my life, I I don't even know where to begin. First time on a helicopter, first time on a glacier, first time riding a dog sled, first time ever drinking glacier water. Incredible day. This the only way to describe this is a top life experience that I've ever had.
And to be perfectly fair, this is also one of the more expensive excursions to choose from in the list of activities on an Alaskan cruise. But it's, in my opinion, one of those you can only do it in Alaska type of excursions on an Alaska cruise. So, where the day before you guys did the train ride, we really didn't do a lot in Skagway. We did a lot of free things because I spent all of our money in Juneau.
Mhm.
And it sounds like perhaps you also had a pretty epic excursion. Yours was actually longer than ours. You did the hike to the glacier and drink the
Mhm.
water from the glacier and all that. So, did you book this for Disney or did you book this on your own?
So this was you are correct. This was a rather spendy excursion. And it was an extended, they called it an extended helicopter dog sled tour. And we did not book this directly through Disney. This one we did go third party. I booked this through a place called Alaska Shore Excursions, and it's you can search for it on Google. It's I mean, but it's just alaskashoreexcursions.com. Um, this one was a bit expensive, and I was a bit apprehensive to book this outside of Disney because you're going in a helicopter, you're going on a glacier. If you don't make it back to the port in time, the ship leaves without you if you don't book it through Disney. But this place that we did book through Alaska Shore Excursions, they have a return to ship guarantee. So I inquired about that before booking because, like we said, this is pretty expensive endeavor here, and if you miss the ship, that just compounds the expense. So the details of their return to ship guarantee is one, they've never had to honor it. They've always gotten their guests
Locking
back
in some
on
wood right
time.
there.
Yep. And then the thing is, if for whatever reason you do miss your ship, they will put you up for the night. They will feed you, and they will make sure that you make it to the meet up with your ship the next day. So I felt that was worth the risk, especially since I was saving a combined over $600 for the two of us for the excursion.
Yeah, we also booked, not through Disney for some of those same reasons. Booked, I think we booked the same tour company. I have to look it up, but I think we did. And my thought also was we were in the United States. So when I travel on a Disney cruise and we're in another country and we're going from country to country to country, the idea of getting stuck in a foreign country
Hmm.
is a little frightening. The idea that, although not great, if I was in Juneau and I had to get to Ketchikan, that's not as problematic in my thought process. I was still in the United States, so I didn't have to go to, the consul or any, yeah, all that stuff. So I thought, well, okay, if I can have risk not booking through directly through Disney, this is the place to do it.
100%. And I further justified it in this company, this outfit operates helicopters. At the very least, they can just fly us to Ketchikan the next day.
Yeah, and your experience was also the same as mine, as the price savings was rather significant, and
Hmm.
ours was times 4, so I was like, "Yeah, that I need the price savings."
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, the thing that sold it to me was we were getting an extended experience than what Disney even offered, and we were still saving money. It was less expensive for us to do that.
okay, so up in the helicopter, you go through all the safety things, and you go through the helicopter, you go up in the helicopter. What did you do first?
First thing we did was go to the dog sled camp.
Okay.
So our group of on the excursion, there were three helicopters. So all three of the helicopters took people to the dog sled camp, and we got to play around with the puppies and ride the dog sleds for it was almost an hour and a half. I don't think it was initially supposed to be an hour and a half. I think there was some weather that was delaying the helicopters from coming back to pick us up, so we had a little bit of extended time with the puppies.
And aren't they crazy, the puppies? Were any of them on their dog houses on top of
Oh
them?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all over the place. There's dogs. They have just rows and rows and rows of dog houses. There was dogs in the houses, outside of the houses, on top of the houses, tied up to sleds. It's there were dogs everywhere, and for a dog people, we were in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, we loved it too.
And
Okay.
they just wanted to, they wanted to run.
Yes, they did.
If they weren't running, they tried to get you to pet them, and if you weren't petting them, they wanted to run.
Yeah. Yeah. So great experience there. And then the helicopter came back, picked you up, and took you to another glacier?
It was the same glacier, but it was a different part of the glacier. So where the dog camp was, it was next to the face of a cliff. So the snow on that part of the glacier was protected, and that's where they run the dog sleds. That's where the dog sled camp is. Where the helicopter came back and took us to was again the same glacier, just a different part that was an ice field of the glacier. So we get off the helicopters into a non-snowy area where there's glacial rivers running through of glacier water. There's crevasses here. There's all mountains on the other side of you. It was such a stark contrast of terrain for being on the same glacier.
That's and did they provide different, like some sort of grippy shoes or something for you to walk on that?
Yeah, they did. So everybody got over boots at the helicopter port to put on their shoes. The people that were doing the extended tour got over boots that had little spikes on the bottom of them. Yep.
That's good. Yeah. So you didn't slip and fall everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of unnerving when we were landing on the ice field. The helicopter pilot was our tour guide, and he's explaining to us, as he's landing, so if you look over there at the crevasses where the ice is a little bit dark, that's safe to walk. Where you see the bright white areas, that's where that's a snow bridge between two crevasses. You don't want to walk there because you'll fall in. He's
Oh,
telling this right before he's setting the helicopter down. So now we're all nervous. I'm like, okay, we're just gonna follow you around.
yeah. We're just gonna let you go first, and we're gonna be little
Mhm.
ducklings and follow right behind in your path. Because
Yeah, there was a woman in our group. She asked the guy while we were out there. She says, "Would it be okay if I went over there?" And his response was like, "Yeah, I probably wouldn't." Like, yeah, listen to that
okay,
guy. He knows.
yeah, I probably wouldn't either. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. But it was really cool just to see. For me, the river of glacier water carving its way through this glacier, and then you just bend down, dip your hand in, and scoop it up and take a drink. It's the coldest, cleanest, most refreshing, taste like nothing water I've ever had.
that's unbelievable. That's really
Yes,
a cool
it
experience.
really was, and I still can't believe that we did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 25 years. There's a lot to celebrate there. A lot of. I mean, that's really a great experience. I'm kind of jealous you did the extended thing. We just. It may have been an age thing with I don't remember, but
Oh, maybe that
yeah,
that could be. I'm not sure.
yeah. But anyway, that sounds
We
pretty
didn't
awesome.
have to worry about such
No,
things.
you didn't. You didn't because it was just the two of you. All right. So then you got back in the helicopter. They took you back to camp. You leave there, they drive you in a van back to the
Mhm.
port. Did you guys do anything else around Juneau that day, or was that your entire day?
That was it. We didn't get to see any of Juneau that day because the excursion, took up the bulk of the day. It was right in the middle of the day, and like I said, it was a little bit delayed. So they didn't take away time from our experience. We just got to have a little extra time up the dog camp. So with that said, right, by the time we got back to the port, it was about 30 minutes before it was all ashore. So we were really testing the limits of that return to ship guarantee.
But you made it. You
We
didn't have to
did
work.
make it. We did make it with all
That
fingers and toes and everything.
that's good, that's good. Alright, so that night, you got back. Did you go to dinner that night, or did you just were you just beat from everything and just decided to eat some
Oh,
s
we still got to eat.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
we were back at Tiana's that night.
oh, and now was this the show night?
It was, yes, yeah.
Okay. I think that's so fun. I mean,
hmm
I like the music and
Yeah.
Tiana and all the it's just a festive
Lewis
atmosphere.
comes out. It's a hoot.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Yeah.
So cute. All right, now did you finish your night? This is the most important question. Did you go to your favorite bar that night?
Of course we did. We had to
Okay, good.
say goodnight to Wyan
Okay, I just
at
wanted
the
to make sure.
Cadillac Lounge on the
Okay.
Disney Wonder.
You gotta make sure that that's what you did.
That's right. Yep.
All right, so the next day is your last, port day, and you go to Ketchikan.
Mhm.
All right. I think Ketchikan is just the quaintest, cutest little city. I absolutely adored it, and Landon just, like, sang it, so, he really liked Ketchikan. What did you choose to do there?
We explored on our own. So we got off the ship, kind of like what we did in Skagway. We got off the ship kind of early in the morning and just walked through the town to kind of get our bearings to figure out where things were. We made it past the touristy area and kind of heading towards town, and realized that there's a lot of cool places to eat in Ketchikan, and if we wanted to do more than just one of them, we probably needed to eat something like now. So we walked back over to town to what was it, the Alaska King Crab Company for an early lunch, and where we got a crab leg lunch, not plural crab legs, but crab leg lunch. This crab leg, this crab leg was 1 pound for one crab leg. This thing was from the tip of my finger to the crook of my elbow big.
That's insanity.
It was a spectacle, but not only was it a novelty, it was delicious.
It does sound like it'd be
It
really
was
good.
fantastic.
Oh, yum.
So we
That's a
did
good way to
that.
start your day in Ketchikan.
We did do that. Oh man, it was a great way to start the day. So we did that, and then walked over to like the kind of the Creek Street area. It was the Salmon Walk area. That's kind of over to the side of Creek Street. Kind of walked up there. The Salmon Ladder wasn't open for the year yet because it's a little too early. But we were able to walk the, I guess you call it boardwalk, and then there's a stairs that goes all the way up to the top of, I guess the face of this, cliff, mountain, hill, whatever you want to call it. And there's like a lodge or a hotel up there. Sat down there. There's a brick oven place, a brick oven pizza place that we had a porch. It was a beautiful day. Sun was out. Um, we had a table overlooking the town, could see down to the ship, and decided to have a drink up there and spend some time. I would not recommend this if you're in a hurry, because while the views were spectacular, the service was a little slow. I think we were there about an hour and a half and had one beverage.
Oh,
Yeah, it
oh.
was a little slow. But again, not a bad way to spend your day. Just if you have things that you want to do, maybe skip that one. But we went back down, and then we did walk through Creek Street and the shops there. It's such a cool, cute little area of shopping district, touristy spot, historic buildings.
Here's the big question. Did it rain on you in Ketchikan?
It did not.
Oh, we are 2 for 2, Jared.
We got
Didn't rain
no
on us,
rain.
didn't rain on you.
Yep,
I
no
think we're
rain.
the only 2 cruises ever where it has not rained in Ketchikan.
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
miraculous.
So when we got done with Creek Street, there's more food to be had. We walked down to it's a place called Jellyfish Donuts. Are you familiar with this?
No.
So it's a Ketchikan unique donut shop. It's called Jellyfish Donut. They have the what they call world famous salmon donut. So I
Okay.
told you earlier, Stacy's a big smoked salmon fan.
Mhm.
And basically what this is, it is a donut. It's not glazed. So it's just a yeast donut, and they'll take the smoked salmon, cream cheese, and whip it together much like a salmon dip, some scallions on top of it, and pile that on top of your donut.
Okay, kinda bagel and lox-ish, sort of?
Kind of, but the donut is a bit sweeter than a bagel. Um, I had the same thoughts that you're probably having right now. I tasted it. Sad to admit, it was good.
Okay.
It
Well,
was
you missed
really
out
good.
on that, and I'm not sure that I could have convinced anyone in my family to take a bite of it, but now I'm intrigued.
Mhm.
And what
It's
was the name of this place again?
Jellyfish Donuts in
Oh,
Ketchikan.
okay, so you all heard it here. Stacy gave it 2 thumbs up. Jared is giving it 2 thumbs up.
I I I can't say that you shouldn't try it.
All right, there we go.
But I did. I got a more traditional donut. I got, well, they called it the Sour Patch Kids donut. It was a donut with raspberry frosting on top of it, and then had some Sour Patch Kids on it. Also, a very, very excellent donut.
I love that you started the day with king crab legs, and then you finished it with donuts. So
We're
you
not finished
oh,
yet.
okay, you're not finished. This was just a little pit stop
This
appetizer.
was just a little, yeah, a
This is
little
afternoon
side
snack treat.
stop
Okay.
here.
All right, all right.
So this jellyfish donut is kind of past town. There's a tunnel that goes through the mountain in Ketchikan that kind of takes you on the other side of town there. It's on the other side of that tunnel.
Okay.
So we're walking back to just kind of do a little bit of shopping, take some pictures, and maybe get a little more food before heading back onto the ship. And lo and behold, we spot a Hawaiian in the wild. So all week long, Wyan has been telling us he cannot wait to go to Ketchikan because there is this bar. I think it's called 108 Bar or 108 Pub in Ketchikan where he gets his elk burger.
Oh.
He's been waiting almost an entire year for his elk burger. So we're standing there in the street taking our picture in front of the neon Ketchikan sign that goes across the street. It's, the Alaska's first city neon sign for Ketchikan. And we're standing there, taking a selfie, and I'm holding the camera out here, and there's this guy who kind of just stops right in front of my camera and is staring. And you only see him out of the corner of my eye because I'm trying to take a selfie here. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? This is kind of strange. Does he think I'm taking a picture of him? I put the camera down. It's Wyan. Just spotted us on the street and like, hey guys, what's going on? Just got my burger. It was delicious.
So he got off the ship, went and got his
He
burger.
said he had a little conversation with his manager. He says, I only need 2 hours. Just give me 2 hours. He got his elk burger.
I love it. Yeah.
Yep.
Kid's waited a year. Well, I shouldn't call him a kid. The man has waited a year to go get this burger. I mean, he deserves that 2 hours to go get that.
Oh yeah, he was on cloud 9.
Good.
He was loving life.
Good.
So then after we had our Hawaiian sighting, we were heading back to the ship. Before getting on the ship, there's a little shopping mall right outside the port, and then behind that is the lumberjack show, and right in between them is the Alaska Fish House. So that's where we had to get our fish and chips in Ketchikan. We got the combo, which is halibut, salmon, and cod, I believe. Never had like salmon prepared fish and chip style. That's what we were really interested in. That one was very, very good. It was probably the best of the 3, but overall I'd say this is probably a skip. There's much better places to eat in Ketchikan than that. That's kind of just like the tourist spot to go. Their cocktails are awful. Ooh. Absolutely awful. I had a beer, which was good.
I had a beer there too.
Stacy ordered a cocktail and couldn't even drink it.
Oh, that's not good.
So the food was mid, cocktails terrible, beer was good. When in Rome, you gotta try the different places. But I'd say my advice, if I were to give it to anybody who would ask, would be probably skip that one and look for something else.
Go for that salmon donut.
Salmon donut. Double up on those.
Get those omega-3s.
That's right.
Smart. All right. So overall, what did you think of Ketchikan?
Ketchikan was a blast. I mean, these 3 towns that we stopped in. Granted, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Juneau itself. We just got to see it from the inside of a shuttle on the way to our excursion. But Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, all 3 of them were amazing towns.
Yeah, I think they're great port stops, and would enjoy spending more time in each one of them and exploring more of Alaska, to be perfectly frank. I'd love to take a rail up to different parts. I have a girlfriend doing a 2-week trip to Alaska this summer, and they're even going to some national parks where you have to fly in. That's the only way to get to them. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a nice sampler, I think, when you go on the cruise of the 3 little ports, so
100%.
all right, so that night you get back, you're a great day in Ketchikan, and where did you go?
Tritons for dinner.
Triton's, and
Tritons for dinner, and closed out the evening at Cadillac Lounge,
as you should, as
as
you
we
should.
should. Yes.
Now, the next day was just a long sea day, right?
It was the day at sea. Yeah, it was the last full day on the ship. So
Okay.
it's the day when they bring the nasty little luggage tags to your room.
Those are so sad.
Not
They're
fun.
insulting, aren't they?
Not fun. They are. It's like nice having you. Thanks for being here. Now get out.
I know, just not
Um,
nice.
so we spent mid morning because I mean we got up every day and went to cabanas. I think Stacy takes great pride in having salmon and bagel, salmon cream cheese and bagel and lox every single day that we were on the ship. So we got back to the room about midday and had to start packing. But what made that a little less painful was our good friends, Scott and Elizabeth, sent us to a gift to our room when we got on the ship. We had a nice little anniversary gift from them, a bottle of Rosa Regale, which is a sweet red, carbonated red. It's like a sweet red champagne. I don't know. It comes in a Magnum bottle. Anyway, while we were packing, we drank that bottle of wine on our good friends Scott and Liz.
That's awesome. Good job,
Thank you,
Scott.
Scott and Liz, again for the lovely gift.
Good job, Scotty G and Lizzie G. Cheers to
Let's
25 years.
cheers to 25 years, indeed. So like I said, took a little bit of the sting out of having to pack. So rest of the day, I mean, you're stuck on the ship. What do? We played a little bit of trivia in the French Quarter Lounge. We played what was it? Disney Music Live trivia, which is it's you'd think it would be easy ish, because it's all Disney tunes, it's all music, but they have a live pianist playing the tunes, which adds a layer of difficulty to the game. So, needless to say, we didn't win that one.
Yeah, and,
Um,
something about hearing High School Musical, the musical on piano doesn't necessarily ring a bell right when you hear it, and then when you find the answer, you're like, "Oh, that's what that was."
yeah.
When you're listening into it, you're thinking, I don't hear it right now."
So we had seen a few samples of this type of trivia on YouTube and whatnot, and we did better than I had expected. But like I said earlier, when you're on a Disney cruise, unless you get every single question right, you have zero chance of even tying for first. So we didn't win, but we stuck around for the next round, which was Disney Cruise Line trivia, and this was hard because they asked questions like, "How many seats are in the Walt Disney Theater?"
How
Not
Yeah,
roughly how many, how
ex
many?
wow.
How many lifeboats are on the Disney Wonder? Ask questions like that. Again, we did better than I expected because they did ask a question that we knew from personal history. So they asked what previously occupied the space of Vibe, and
Mm,
that was when it was originally built. So Vibe is in the faux funnel on the Wonder and the Magic, and it didn't always used to be that way. What was originally in there was called the ESPN Sky Zone, which was a sports lounge.
oh,
So we got to experience that 25 years prior on one of our first cruises.
so you got were you the only ones with that answer right?
I don't know if we were the only ones, but a lot of people were stumped on that one.
Yeah,
So that's kind of my bragging rights right there.
good
Is
job.
is we got that one right because we were there.
Like, our tushes were in the seats back when there were seats
Yes,
there.
yes. We stopped in for maybe 10 minutes. They actually had a St. Louis Blues game on when we were
Oh,
there.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
How do you remember that from 25 years ago? I can't
I don't
remember
know. I guess they call those core memories.
I guess so. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember what I did yesterday. Well, I can. I went to a graduation party last night, so I can't remember, so
A lot of that going around.
There's a lot of that going around. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then dinner on the last night was we skipped the rotational dining, we had Palo. So
Oh,
what we also learned is so when we had our brunch on our first day at sea, we had such a good time with our server Luis, who I mentioned before from UK. Told her that we were coming back on what was it, Sunday, and if we could request to have her be a part of our experience again, and she said, well, the maitre d kind of tries to do that anyway. Never knew that.
huh.
So we've gone, on several Disney ships, have done the brunch dinner combo in Palo in, you know, various orders. And have always asked, to have the same one. And this was the only time where she mentioned, or she brought up that they actually try to do that.
But what if you didn't like the server that much the first time?
How do you not like your Palo
I
server?
don't know, but
They're all
maybe.
fantastic.
I mean, it could happen. I don't know.
I guess it could, but I've never experienced that.
Yeah, me neither. Well, that seems like the perfect way to end. So your actual anniversary day, you had Palo brunch, and
Mhm.
then your last night of your anniversary trip, you had Palo dinner.
That's
I
right.
think it's a perfect way to finish it.
We I we did so many things right on this trip.
You did. You did. And I think that space in Palo on the Wonder, I really like the setup. It's very quaint.
Mhm.
And I like the bar that's in the restaurant. I like all that about that. So I kind
Mhm.
of like the space in there.
Yeah, the open kitchen.
Mhm.
It's a very small space. They they use the space wisely, but it is an extraordinary experience all
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
One of my favorites.
Any highlights that you wanna share from dinner that evening? Because 'Cause I've never done Palo dinner, so
Oh my gosh. I think Oh gosh, I know I had the fillet, and it was outstanding. Trying to go back through here. I have pictures. um, oh, the bread service was so you get a bread service. We got the antipasti, which was dried meats and cheeses and olives. We got scallop appetizer, and oh no, I take that back. Yeah, Stacy got scallops for her entree, and I got the filet mignon. We both got the Grand Marnier soufflé with
oh,
vanilla custard, or vanilla, yeah, it's vanilla custard. So much
so
better than the chocolate.
at di so
Controversial opinion, but the Grand Marnier soufflé is so much better than the chocolate.
so brunch is all you care to enjoy. You can order various entrees, various courses, but dinner I is you do you order is it a
Dinner
set
has a couple of options. Dinner
here?
has a prix option for $50, or you can order à la carte.
Okay,
We went the à la carte route.
got it. Okay,
Mhm.
good to know.
So, and then after that, we spent the rest of the evening in Cadillac Lounge saying goodbye to our friends behind the bar and beside us at the bar as well. The last day, Wyan and the Cadillac team surprised us with a magical memories certificate because we made their week that much that special to them.
I that is amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So the magical moments, recognitions for guests is something I think from like the Year of a Million Dreams, like years and years and years ago at Walt Disney World. So this is something that I guess they've held on to, um, and something that Wyan did for us, Wyan, our bartender at Cadillac Lounge. He also gave us a set of 8 of the Disney Cruise Line coasters that they use in the bar. So they're leather like coasters with the DCL logo on them.
That's
So
a
he gave
great
us 8 of those. Yeah, it was really moving, right? Because we're there to have a good time, and I always try, and Stacy always try to just treat the people that are serving us with respect and as friends and as equals. And I don't know that they get that all the time,
Mhm.
and they reciprocate that, and it's just so much of an honor to be a part of their life so briefly, um, and and to have this recognition that we actually made an impact on them as much as they made an impact on us. It was very, very special.
That's really, really special, and I'm not sure that I saw that certificate or heard the story yet, so that's pretty amazing.
Hmm. I
I
Yeah, it was very moving.
Yeah, that says a lot, Jared, about you and Stacy and the type of people we are, and why I'm so happy to be able to call you my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thanks again. So that rounds out the cruise. The only thing left was one more sleep and getting kicked off the ship. So
And
we got off.
getting that
I know.
folio. Oh,
Well, we're lucky enough. I didn't even have to look at it.
yeah. Yeah, I like playing a game to see, how many charges Tim has compared to the rest of us. So that's one of my favorite, like, we love to go through and try to guess how many Tim has, that's one of our favorite games at the end.
Mhm.
So,
So no, I will say that I we've done what, 4 cruises in the past 3-ish years, I guess 2 years, and I've the strategy that I've taken with the folio is I don't look at it until I look at the credit card statement when I get back home. And surprisingly, every trip that I've done that on, I'll look at the credit card statement and say, not as much as I thought it would be.
well, that's really great.
Hmm. Which you can take that one way or the other, I guess.
Well, it's better to think it's gonna be this and then have it come down a little lower than
Uh
you think
huh.
it'll be here and then much more,
Because
so
yeah, I always have like a budget in mind of what it's gonna be, and to have it come in a little bit less than that is just
a
icing on
nice
the cake.
a nice surprise.
Hmm. So
Well, Jared, that sounds like a fantastic sailing to Alaska, a wonderful way to spend your 25th anniversary. Would you recommend this Disney Cruise Line sailing to others?
hands down, without a doubt, 110% do it.
I absolutely agree. I think it's worth it. So
Mhm.
I'm glad you guys had a great time. I can't wait to see more pictures. I have been loving hearing the stories and getting to experience, and what a great gift for you and Stacy to be able to celebrate together. And again, happy 25th anniversary.
Well, thank you, and thank you for letting me share
Well, thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
anytime.
So, I'm sure if anyone has any questions about sailing to Alaska, or any specifics that Jared and Stacy did, I'm sure he would be happy to respond. He's in our Facebook group, and I clearly have his contact information too. So if you have any questions, if you want to reach out, let me know. Um, Jared, is your YouTube channel back up and running, or is it?
It never really went away,
Okay,
but I did do some recording. Editing is always the heavy lift of that for me.
yeah.
So
Do you want to
maybe
share that or no?
yeah, hopefully I'll get some content out there on YouTube. My channel's called It's the Journey. It's a little difficult to find because I don't have that many followers. But if you can go to itjvlog.com, and that'll take you directly to my YouTube channel.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Jared. I appreciate you being here, and as always, hearing about the trip. And I'm telling you guys, if you have a chance to do Alaska, do it. It's worth it. So, all right, that's a wrap. I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
So whoever edits this is going to have a blast.
Lonnie, yay! We
Hey,
love
hey,
Lonnie.
Lonnie.